Hey, it's me, Punto, and today we'll be going back to the past and seeing a game very close and dear to my heart. I have a soft spot for this game clearly being Bendy and the Ink Machine. This game is a masterpiece that shaped my love for horror. I was thrilled to see a sequel drop a year ago, and while it wasn't looking great for Bendy as the sequel took forever to release, boy oh boy, when it dropped I was stoked. Horror has always been a huge part of my life, and these games had me thinking, which one's better? Well, today we'll be looking at the pros and cons of each game, and what made this franchise so special to me and many others. Without further ado, let's get into this one.
Alright, Joey. I'm here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted me to see.
Alright, let's start with Bendy and the Ink Machine. I love this game so much, as it's so amazingly well made. We have quite a bit to cover here, so sit back and relax as I go through this huge landmark in horror game history. Let's have a quick rundown here of Bendy and the Ink Machine. The game's first chapter was released in 2017, where it grew massively popular. It was originally on GameJolt, and made by one dev called the Meatly. He would also later make Joey Drew Studios, his game company named after the in-game company in this world. You play as Henry Stein, a man who helped Joey Drew, the creator of the studio, make his dreams come true with animation. All chapters release individually over time, and the next two chapters also releasing the same year as the first. The following year, the last two chapters would be finished, completing the main story. I got into this game and was hooked like most people upon its initial release. It was uphill from here. Okay. I'm not gonna blab on too much about this game. I highly recommend you get this game and experience it blindly before continuing with this video, though. Here's some good things about this game. Joey's studio here is full of surprises and memorable areas and characters. Tons of secrets. Everything here is hard to forget as you're immersed in this world. The graphics make this so interesting, and everything looks hand-drawn, which adds just a bit more charm. The whole world is drawn with a pen and a dream. And because of the choice in art style, it's iconic and holds up perfectly today. I'd like to quickly mention that this game got a spin-off during the wait for Bendy and the Dark Revival. This game being Boris and the Dark Survival. The hub world is actually based off of the safe house at the beginning of Chapter 3. It has an addicting gameplay loop, and if you want to see me play this game in the future, just comment below and I might. All the secrets in this game are great, and make the plot thicken like the ink in the depths. Easily missable details add so much to a game, even if it's so little. I love that about games. The wait was always worth it each time a chapter released. When you're playing through this game, it's just so riveting and exhilarating at times to know that you're just not alone. Fear the ink demon, they say. Bendy and the Ink Machine probably has one of my favorite endings in video game history, along with the Little Nightmares 2 ending, as they're actually quite similar when you take a look at it. This game did a great job at making you think of some thought-provoking questions as you explored throughout the game. Some of these questions actually were answered, just cryptic, and you'd have to think and look for them. But this game was truly a great experience. Unfortunately, while the game's pacing and everything is great, lots of people will agree that Chapter 3 was the worst because of Alice Angel's errands. I personally didn't mind this as much, as each little errand is memorable, and the tension of some sections with the projectionist and Bendy himself add to it. So many spots are great in this chapter. Even though it's a longer chapter, I'd say it makes up for it very well with all the content and secrets it has to offer. From secret weapons to secret sections, and even a secret boss. Boom. Pow. Slit. Pow. Clap! Smack! Shit! Slam! Wham! Oh yeah, I quickly want to show you the easiest way you can kill the projectionists down in level 14. It's way easier than you'd think. Come on. Wait. Can I beat the shit out of him from in here? Boris is actually reacting to him. Don't worry, Boris. I got him. On to the sequel to this hit. Was it better? Was it worth the wait? Alright, let's find out as I jump into the pros and cons of this game. To start really fast, this game dropped 3 years after it was announced back in 2019. I honestly thought it was longer than that. But game development is hard, and to follow Bendy and the Ink Machine's no easy task. This game did lose some hype due to the way and the interesting choice for them to go completely silent during their development. It took quite a bit of time since they were developing all 5 chapters at once rather than releasing them individually. Then animation work must have taken forever since there's so many spots where there's a well-made animation that takes a few seconds of your time, but hours of animators.
Time for a little adventure.
Just a small adventure.
Audrey. Wilson? You scared me to death.
The animation and graphic work is insanely improved upon in this game, taking lots of time and soul to create. Combat feels more fleshed out compared to the old combat system in Bendy and the Ink Machine, with many abilities to add spice to the way you approach fights and conflicts. The pacing once again feels good, with some slow spots, as I personally struggled with a few puzzles. Fetch quests were seriously toned down to basically none, as a response to the only real problem with Bendy and the Ink Machine in Chapter 3. The story adds a lot to the previous game, finishing up everything and clearing up details. You also get to see what Henry, the character he plays in the first game, looks like. I love that scene. All the new mechanics felt very nice, such as spending slugs, which are fake tokens used to trick vending machines. All the new bosses feel way more interesting to fight than the previous game's bosses, which is nice. The franchise is not done, and it can go in many directions with the ending to this one. Overall, this game is a solid title. Sadly, the biggest sin made in this game was the decision of what they did to the Ink Demon. Yes, he looks scary and he can speak now, and he's rather rude at that, might I add. But he doesn't stalk you around the level. He doesn't feel like a major threat or part of the story, which is huge. So, what did they do to him? They made him a timer. Yes, a timer. If you can't find a hiding spot within like 8 seconds, then too bad. You get consumed. It just feels annoying and more like a time loss than something you should be afraid of as you play. This change made me very upset when I first played through. Moving on from that, which was bad, this game does have a few annoying puzzles, but I won't count any of that against them because sometimes I'm just stupid. Some of the new characters that they added didn't feel very cool, like they weren't very original. They try to add variety with them, like the 4th unused member of the Butcher Gang, Ghost Girl or whatever. I don't even remember her name. Enough said. Although some characters making a return is nice, some of the newer ones aren't cool. This does not include the Keepers or Wilson or the small Bendy, just to be clear. The finale of this game's pretty underwhelming, as after you beat the weird final boss thing, I don't know what it is, you turn into Bendy, which is kinda cool, but you're invincible, which is pretty obvious, honestly, and it's cool when you first play it, but not so much any other time. So both games have a major con and plenty of great things about them, but which one do I think is better? Now, you can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. Comment below which one you think's better. But the answer is Bendy and the Ink Machine. Alright, now let me explain why. Now this game does a great job at making you feel like you're in the past, and also just the sense of horror. You're always at unease when you're going through this area. Now this game was part of my childhood, so it's a bit nostalgic, but I was not counting that when comparing the two games. Alright? Cool. Seriously though, Bendy and the Ink Machine is such a good game. You have to play it for yourself. It inspired so many other horror games out there, and it was sort of just like amazing, and it was so special when it first came out. With that, I'm gonna end it off here. I'm gonna have a couple extra clips, and please subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree, just show some support, okay?
What's going on?
He's coming. We have to move on.
Well, I'm going to free you now. Free your head right off your shoulders. She